All right, let's really peel back the layers on this one. Picture yourself launching something big, a company, a groundbreaking project, maybe even a new movement.
Hmm.
You're brimming with big dreams and audacious ideas, but here's the million-dollar question. Where do you even start?
Right.
Do you lock yourself away, meticulously drawing up that brilliant strategic blueprint, a tactical master plan to outmaneuver every competitor?
Or do you pour your energy into forging an unstoppable team, cultivating a culture so vibrant it practically is your mission?
Exactly. This isn't just some dusty old business debate. It's the core dilemma facing every builder, every leader. And today, we're diving headfirst into it for you.
What truly makes this fascinating, I think, is how deeply intertwined these concepts of strategy and culture are.
Yeah.
Though, many people often assume they're distinct, perhaps even sequential.
Yeah.
Like first strategy, then
Or
culture.
vice versa.
Vice versa, yeah. But our sources reveal a much more intricate and symbiotic relationship
Yeah.
than a simple either choice.
Okay.
So we're going to dissect what each truly entails, weigh the compelling arguments for prioritizing one over the other, and ultimately unpack the practical implications for you as you navigate your own ventures, big or small.
Our mission today, then, is to arm you with a shortcut to being incredibly well-informed on this fundamental question.
Mm-hmm.
We've compiled a stack of extraordinarily insightful sources. I mean, from Michael Porter's rigorous analysis of competitive advantage and Hamilton Helmer's 7 powers, which lean heavily into the strategic blueprint,
Right, the analytical side.
all the way to Peter Drucker's famous maxim, culture eats strategy for breakfast, and Patrick Lencioni's deep dive into team dynamics, which really focuses on the people side.
The human element.
Exactly. We'll be meticulously laying out the arguments, digging up some surprising facts, and connecting all the dots so you can make an informed decision about what truly drives enduring success.
This really raises an important question for all of us, though. Is there a definitive, universally applicable answer?
Probably not, right?
Well, that's what we need to explore. Or does the optimal approach fundamentally depend on the context, the industry, the market, the stage of development?
Yeah, the specifics.
We'll provide you with the critical tools and framework to consider this for yourself, looking at vivid examples of both dazzling strategic plays that captured markets and deeply ingrained cultural strengths, and indeed weaknesses that either amplified or undermined those strategies. Get ready to reconsider some long-held assumptions.
Okay, let's kick things off by making the strongest possible case for strategy as the absolute cornerstone.
Lay it out.
Imagine a ship without a compass or a blueprint for its voyage. It might have the most talented crew, a fantastic engine, but without a clear destination and a plan to get there. Well, it's just drifting.
Makes sense.
We're talking about the brain of the operation here, the meticulously designed blueprint for how you'll not only win, but sustain that win in a fiercely competitive marketplace.
The how.
The how and the why you'll keep winning. And to really drive this point home, let's turn to Hamilton Helmer's seminal concept of 7 powers.
Okay, Helmer. Powerful stuff, literally.
He doesn't mince words. Companies must attain what he calls power for true value creation. It's simply not enough to have operational excellence, to merely be good at what you do.
Right. Being efficient isn't enough.
Exactly. He argues that operational excellence, while admirable, is ultimately table stakes. You can optimize, you can streamline, but if your advantage isn't defensible, it's fleeting.
So it can be copied easily.
Precisely. What you truly need is something defensibly unique and superior, something that acts as a competitive moat.
That's where Helmer's distinction becomes so critical. And the Intel case study, which he uses, is a perfect, almost brutal illustration.
Oh yeah, the memory chips versus microprocessors.
Exactly. Consider Intel's ventures in both. In both cases, they had what any company would dream of. Unexcelled leadership, immense technical depth, manufacturing prowess, an exploding market hungry for their products.
Everything seemed lined up.
Colossal advantages. Yet the outcomes were utterly, dramatically different.
Yeah.
A painful exit and eventual failure in the memory business.
Right.
Contrasted with an enduring, high-margin, market-dominating success in microprocessors.
The stark difference, Helmer asserts, wasn't about the caliber of their people or their initial resources. It was the presence or absence of power.
Okay.
In memory, they were constantly battling for marginal gains, easily replicated. In microprocessors, they built a defensible moat.
Something competitors couldn't just copy.
Right. So for you, the ambitious builder or leader listening, this is a profound takeaway. Simply being excellent, working harder, or having a great product isn't enough. You need that fundamental strategic power that creates sustainable competitive advantage.
It's the difference between running a race on a treadmill and actually reaching a finish line that others can't touch.
Well put.
And that concept of sustainability is baked right into Helmer's core mantra for strategy, a route to continuing power in significant markets.
That word continuing is key.
It is. It's not incidental. It's a deliberate addition designed to encourage businesses to layer on different sources of power as they evolve. It's not a set it and forget it deal.
Right, you don't just build one moat.
You build one moat,
Yeah.
and then you look for ways to build another, reinforcing your position. It's dynamic.
Precisely. Helmer identifies 7 specific types of powers, and here's a provocative claim from his work. He argues these are the only strategies available to a company.
Wow, only 7. That's bold.
It is bold. He says if you can't identify at least one of these powers for each of your key competitors, you fundamentally lack a viable long-term strategy.
That really forces you to think critically about your competition.
It forces a rigorous self-assessment. Let's dive into a few of these specific available strategic powers.
Okay, let's hear them.
The first power is branding.
Branding. More than just a logo, I assume?
Way more. For Helmer, it's about making consistent creative choices over an extensive period of time that foster customer affinity beyond the objective attributes of your product or service.
So it's that emotional connection.
Exactly. Think of a brand where your loyalty transcends a feature list, where you have an almost emotional connection. That's branding as power.
When a customer feels like a brand gets them, that's incredibly difficult for a competitor to replicate through sheer product specs.
Absolutely. It's about that almost irrational pull. And then there's counterpositioning.
Counterpositioning. Okay, what's that?
This is where you pioneer a new, superior business model that creates collateral damage for incumbents if they try to mimic it.
So your success hurts them if they copy you.
Precisely. It's a strategic move where your innovation hurts your established competitors more than it helps them if they attempt to copy your playbook. They're stuck.
Why stuck?
Because adapting your model would dismantle their existing, often still profitable, structure. For instance, a direct-to-consumer model might counterposition against a competitor reliant on traditional retail.
Right. If the old guard tries to go direct, they risk alienating their entire retail partner base. Ouch.
Big ouch. So they hesitate, and you gain ground.
Following that, we have switching costs.
Okay, switching costs. This one feels more familiar.
Yeah, but the key prerequisite Helmer stresses is you need to attain a customer base first.
Right. Can't have switching costs without customers to switch.
Obvious, but crucial. Then you create costs, whether that's effort, time, or money, for them to switch to a competitor.
You lock them in, basically.
You subtly, or not so subtly, weave your product into their workflow or ecosystem such that leaving becomes a headache. Think of enterprise software.
Oh yeah, the training, the data migration.
Yeah.
Nightmare.
Exactly. The longer a company uses it, the harder it is to switch, even if a new competitor offers a slightly better feature. This power builds over time.
And finally, among the ones we're highlighting today, there's process power.
Process power. So being really efficient.
Not just efficient, it's about evolving a complex, inimitable process that offers significant long-term advantages.
Inimitable. Really hard to copy.
Extremely hard. This means building an internal machine so sophisticated, so deeply embedded in your operations that others can't catch up within a reasonable time frame, if ever.
Like the Toyota production system.
Perfect example. It isn't just a set of steps, it's a deeply ingrained philosophy, a continuous improvement engine that took decades to perfect. Rivals can try, but truly replicating it is incredibly difficult.
It's an advantage forged in the crucible of daily operation, not just a flashy innovation.
Exactly. So for you listening, whether you're building a startup, leading a team, or even charting your personal career path, the key takeaway from Helmer is, how can you identify or deliberately build these kinds of defensible powers in your own area?
Yeah, what truly makes your strategy not just good, but unassailable in the long run?
Are you just running faster, or are you creating a playing field where others simply can't compete on the same terms?
It's a challenge to think beyond mere execution and into the realm of lasting advantage. That's heavy stuff.
It is. Now, taking a broader lens, Michael Porter's work on competitive strategy also provides crucial insights into how companies navigate different market conditions.
Porter, yeah, the classic.
He looks beyond those specific powers sometimes to the entire competitive landscape. What's fascinating is that even in declining industries, for example,
Which most people would just write off.
right, Porter identifies a range of strategic alternatives beyond just pulling out or harvesting.
So you don't just have to run for the hills if your market's shrinking.
Not necessarily. That's a critical point Porter makes. Firms can actively pursue leadership or niche strategies, even as the overall market shrinks.
Okay, leadership or niche, how does that work?
In a leadership strategy, a company might actually invest more heavily to strengthen its position, consolidating market share as weaker competitors exit.
Ah, become the last one standing, and probably quite profitable then.
Exactly. A niche strategy, on the other hand, involves identifying a specific resilient segment within that declining market and catering to it exclusively.
Carving out a little profitable stronghold.
Precisely. It's about seeing opportunity even when the overall tide is going out, rather than simply reacting defensively.
Porter also intricately details the complexities of global strategy.
Yeah, the world stage.
To gain necessary economies of scale, access critical resources, or spread risks, a firm may need to compete in certain major international markets. And this, in turn, deeply affects its overall global approach.
We saw this vividly with Japanese firms in TVs and cars during their expansion phase, right?
Absolutely. They might strategically choose to manufacture partly in the United States, not just for local sales.
But for other reasons, too.
Yeah, often to appease political concerns, mitigate protectionist sentiments, and crucially, maintain the production volume needed for their global competitive advantage.
Ah, so the U.S. factory helps them compete better everywhere else, too.
Exactly. It's about playing the long game on a worldwide chessboard. And consider IBM's approach as another powerful example.
What did IBM do?
IBM consciously implemented policies of local full employment, balanced intra-company transfers of personnel, and significant local R&D investments in many of the countries where it operated.
That sounds expensive.
And nice. It sounds nice, but these weren't mere acts of corporate benevolence. They were strategic concessions.
Ah, concessions for what?
By investing deeply in local economies and fostering local talent, IBM secured local government and consumer goodwill, allowing it to preserve its overarching global strategy and market access, even in politically sensitive regions.
Smart. A balancing act between global needs and local reality.
It's a masterful balancing act where strategic adaptability is paramount.
And sticking with Porter for a moment, on the topic of supply chains, he clarifies vertical integration, owning different stages of your production.
Right, from raw materials to finished product.
Versus contracting out. But then he introduces a fascinating hybrid. Tapered integration.
Tapered integration. Okay, that sounds like a mix.
It is. It's not full ownership, nor is it full outsourcing. Imagine a company that produces, say, 60% of a critical component in-house.
Keeping control, keeping secrets.
Right, but then buys the remaining 40% from the open market.
Right.
What's the strategic brilliance there, and what are the tightrope challenges?
The brilliance, as Porter highlights, is in hedging your bets and maintaining flexibility. You get the benefits of internal cost control, specialized capabilities, deep expertise.
The good stuff from integration.
But you also retain access to market pricing and external innovation, avoiding the rigidity and potential complacency of full vertical integration. You're less vulnerable to a single supplier, but also less burdened by the full capital cost of total ownership.
Sounds like the best of both worlds. What's the catch?
The critical challenge, Porter notes, is that your internal operation must be exceptionally efficient, a true competitive benchmark.
You have to be as good or better than the market.
Exactly. If your in-house costs balloon, the whole taper unravels because you're then essentially buying from yourself at a premium.
Defeats the purpose.
Completely. It's a delicate balance where your internal discipline and efficiency become a strategic asset in themselves.
So once you have that brilliant strategy meticulously crafted, how do you ensure it actually, happens?
Yeah, the execution challenge.
Laughley and Martin's playing to win brings this into sharp focus. They emphasize that strategy isn't just a document, it's a cascade of choices.
A cascade? How so?
It starts with a winning aspiration, what does winning look like? Then moves to where you're going to play, which markets, which segments, then how you're going to win in that arena, and finally, what specific capabilities you'll need to deliver on that.
Okay, aspiration, where to play, how to win, capabilities. Got it.
But here's where it gets really interesting and often overlooked. Strategy can fail spectacularly if you fail to establish management systems that support those choices and capabilities.
The systems. Without those robust systems, those organizational gears that translate aspiration into action, strategy remains a wish list, as Laughley and Martin put it.
Just words on paper.
Exactly. It's not enough to have the perfect plan. You need the entire machinery of the organization, the processes, the people, the incentives, all aligned and humming to bring that plan to life.
Makes sense. They also stress teaching strategy tools sequentially, right? Like customer analysis before capabilities.
Yes, that logical sequencing is crucial. Customer analysis before capabilities analysis, and industry segmentation before customer analysis. This builds a coherent foundation, ensuring each choice is informed by the previous analysis, not just random ideas.
But let's be honest, strategy isn't static, especially not today. The world rarely waits for your 5-year plan.
Tell me about it. Things change fast.
Reid Hoffman and Chris Yes introduced blitzscaling as a strategy for hyper-rapid growth.
Blitzscaling. Sounds intense.
It is. It's an aggressive approach that deliberately prioritizes speed over efficiency in an environment of extreme uncertainty.
Speed over efficiency. That sounds risky.
High risk, potentially high reward. The goal isn't just to grow, it's to knock the competition out of the water through sheer velocity and market capture. Think disruptive markets where being first matters immensely.
Grab the market before anyone else figures it out.
Uh.
And building on that idea of market leadership, Jeffrey Moore, in Crossing the Chasm.
Ah, the chasm. Essential reading for tech folks.
Indeed. He points out that for market dominance, particularly when you're trying to win over pragmatic customers, the mainstream buyers who want proven solutions.
Not the early adopters?
Exactly. For those pragmatists, the only right strategy is to take a big fish, small pond approach.
Big fish, small pond, meaning?
Meaning you must target and completely own a specific manageable market segment, rather than trying to be all things to all people from day one. Dominate a niche first.
Okay, focus. And the benefits of owning that pond.
They're manifold. Pragmatists, being risk-averse, tend to stick with the established leader in their niche. That creates huge barriers to entry for competitors.
Hard for others to get in once you're the standard.
Right. This leads to predictable revenues, lower costs of sales because you're serving a well-defined audience, and you cultivate invaluable references within that segment.
And then you can maybe jump to the next pond.
Exactly. Leverage that success to expand into adjacent markets, rather than spreading yourself thin from the outset. Strategic focus achieves market leadership.
But what happens when the very strategy that made you successful suddenly becomes a liability?
Ah, the dark side of success.
Clayton Christensen's The Innovator's Dilemma presents this truly powerful and counterintuitive paradox.
The dilemma, yes. It's a classic for a reason.
His primary thesis is this. The management practices that allow companies to be leaders in mainstream markets are the same practices that cause them to miss the opportunities offered by disruptive technologies.
So being good at what you do now makes you bad at seeing what's next.
In essence, yes. Well-managed companies, paragons of efficiency and customer focus, can fail precisely because they're so well-managed.
How does that work?
Their existing processes, their established values, their profit models are perfectly optimized for their current mainstream customers. This makes it incredibly difficult for them to embrace new, disruptive changes that initially offer lower margins or appeal only to niche markets.
Because it doesn't fit the current machine.
Exactly. It looks unattractive according to their current metrics and processes.
That's a brutal twist of fate. Success leading to failure. So what's the strategic solution Christensen suggests for navigating this disruption?
It's often to create autonomous organizations and heavyweight development teams.
Separate units.
Basically, yes. Units specifically tasked with developing and championing those disruptive technological changes that don't fit the existing processes and values. Keep them away from the mothership initially.
Like quarantining the disruption so it can grow.
Sort of. Think about Compaq Computer's attempt to launch a direct-to-customer strategy. It met fierce resistance from its existing retailers whose business model it threatened.
Right. Internal conflict killed the new strategy.
Christensen would argue an entirely independent company, maybe even with a different brand, might have been necessary to manage that conflict and pursue the new strategy effectively, free from the gravitational pull of the established business.
That approach of deliberate separation highlights a crucial point. Sometimes the most strategic move is to protect a nascent, disruptive idea from the very culture that ensures the success of the core business.
It's an acknowledgement that strategy isn't just planning. It's structuring the organization so different strategies can thrive without cannibalizing each other too early.
And there are further subtle nuances in strategic thinking, too. Jim Collins, in Good to Great,
Another landmark study.
he uncovered something quite profound about truly exceptional companies. He found that good to great companies never talked in reactionary terms, and never defined their strategy.
They weren't just playing defense or follow the leader.
Not at all. Instead, their focus was steadfastly on what they were trying to create and how they were trying to improve relative to an absolute standard of excellence.
An internal benchmark, a vision-first approach.
Exactly. It's about defining your mountain, not just climbing a higher one than your rival. It's proactive, not reactive.
Even ancient wisdom offers powerful strategic lessons, right?
Right, absolutely. Timeless stuff. Sun Tzu's Art of War, for instance, doesn't just discuss battles. It emphasizes strategy as the means to achieve victory.
Planning, positioning.
A relentless focus on understanding conflict, logistics, the subtle art of positioning. It's about planning, deception, precise execution, often winning before the fight even starts.
And Machiavelli. The prince gets a bad rap sometimes.
It does, and maybe deservedly so in parts. But strategically, he discusses the need for goodwill from native populations and taking strong, decisive measures to secure and maintain power.
So practical advice for holding on to control.
Interpreted strategically, yes. They offer principles for maneuvering and securing advantage, even if the context is vastly different today.
Let's look at historical figures who mastered strategic positioning. John D. Rockefeller. Chernow's biography Titan paints an amazing picture.
Rockefeller, yeah. Built an empire. How is his strategy unique?
He wasn't just building an oil empire. He was strategically positioning himself to profit from either surplus or scarcity.
Heads I win, tails you lose.
Pretty much. Through his super-efficient United Pipeline system, he became all but immune to the vagaries of the marketplace.
Wow. So his infrastructure gave him control regardless of market swings.
Masterful strategic foresight and market control, his operational infrastructure became a decisive, enduring power.
And then consider Jeff Bezos at Amazon, captured in Stone's The Everything Store. His approach was different, wasn't it?
Very different, yet equally powerful. He articulated it as, we don't have a single big advantage, so we have to weave a rope of many small advantages.
Not one killer feature, but lots of little things done well.
Exactly. It wasn't about a single knockout punch, but a relentless, incremental accumulation of strategic benefits. Moving faster, expecting incredibly hard work, making bolder bets.
The big inventions and small ones.
Right. Pursuing both relentlessly to become the everything company. It's a strategy built on sustained, multifaceted advantage, a constant evolution rather than a static plan.
Okay, that's a compelling case for strategy as the driver. But if strategy is the blueprint,
then culture is the construction crew?
or maybe the entire construction site ecosystem. Culture is the living, breathing organism that either builds that magnificent structure with passion and precision or lets it crumble into dust. It's about how people truly interact, how decisions actually get made, what values are genuinely celebrated, and what truly drives them day to day, often subconsciously.
And that brings us to Drucker's famous line.
The big one. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. Provocative, maybe? But our sources, in their own ways, show just how profoundly true that can be.
All right, so let's dive into the culture side. Where do we start?
Let's delve into the foundational elements of a healthy team culture, as expertly explored by Patrick Lencioni in The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team.
The 5 Dysfunctions. Yeah, that one hits home for a lot of teams.
It really does. And what's truly fascinating here, and often counterintuitive, is that many people assume a harmonious team is one where conflict is carefully avoided.
Right, everyone just needs to get along nicely.
Lencioni argues the exact opposite. Effective, high-performing teams embrace healthy intellectual conflict and debate. They don't shy away from it.
Healthy conflict. That's the key qualifier, right? Not just fighting.
Absolutely. It's not about being aggressive for aggression's sake. Lencioni recounts an anecdote about a CEO, Catherine, who actively pushed her leadership team for loaded with conflict meetings.
Loaded with conflict. That sounds stressful.
She specifically encouraged team members to coach each other, not to retreat from healthy debate, making it unequivocally clear that this kind of open, vigorous discussion, where ideas are challenged, assumptions tested, diverse perspectives aired, is actually good for the team.
So it's about intellectual honesty, finding the best solution, not personal attacks.
Precisely. And beyond that crucial role of healthy conflict, true team culture also hinges on accountability and cohesion.
Holding each other accountable.
Yes. Lencioni underscores that teams, collectively, alone, succeed or fail. Individual accountability is vital, of course, but it must be fused with a common, unwavering commitment to collective results.
It's not just my job, it's our goal.
Exactly. It's not just what I accomplish in isolation, but what we achieve as a unified front. He also points out that teams shouldn't constantly look to the leader for all key decisions,
Why not? Isn't that the leader's job?
because doing so misses profound opportunities for shared leadership. It cultivates a lack of decision-making confidence within the team, and crucially, it deflects shared accountability. A culture where everyone takes ownership is much stronger.
Okay, that makes sense. Empowering the team.
And underpinning all of this, host, is a constantly used team purpose and clear goals.
The North Star.
It is the North Star. It keeps everyone aligned. Our sources contrast a highly successful food services team, which actively and consistently used its shared purpose to guide every effort and decision, with a consulting team that, astonishingly, actually forgot its stated purpose amidst the day-to-day grind.
Wow, forgot why they were even there.
Essentially, yes.
Hmm.
Without that guiding star, that collective reason for being, even the most talented individuals can wander aimlessly, and the team's energy becomes fragmented and ineffective.
This brings us directly to the profound role of leadership, doesn't it? How leaders shape that culture.
Absolutely. Daniel Goleman, in his pivotal works, Leadership That Gets Results and What Makes a Leader, meticulously reveals how different leadership styles measurably affect the entire organizational climate.
Measurably, like you can actually quantify the impact.
Yes. We're talking tangible impacts across crucial factors like flexibility, individual responsibility, the clarity of performance standards, the quality of feedback, the mission's clarity, and overall commitment to purpose.
So a leader's style isn't just fluff, it has real consequences.
Every leader, whether they realize it or not, casts a profound shadow that shapes the entire environment their team operates in.
It's a powerful idea that a leader's approach can literally define the air people breathe. Goleman talks about the coaching style, for instance.
Yes, the coaching style can be incredibly potent. Goleman explains that its implicit message to employees is, I believe in you, I'm investing in you, and I expect your best efforts.
That sounds motivating.
It fosters a deep sense of trust and commitment, often inspiring employees to rise to the challenge with not just their hands, but their heart, mind, and soul, as Goleman puts it. It cultivates a growth mindset.
And Goleman also heavily emphasizes emotional intelligence, right? EQ.
Deeply. He notes that it's born largely in the brain's limbic system, the part governing feelings, impulses, drives.
Not the purely rational part of the brain.
Exactly. And critically, the limbic system learns best through motivation, extended practice, and feedback. This contrasts sharply with many traditional training programs that focus purely on concepts and logic, the neocortical approach.
So you can't just read a book about EQ and suddenly have it.
You can understand the concept intellectually, but developing emotional intelligence requires practical application, reflection, and constant feedback. It's learned through experience.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, people intrinsically motivated by the drive to achieve not just external rewards, they show up differently, don't they?
Completely differently. They show a clear passion for the work itself. These are the people who genuinely love to learn, take immense pride in a job well done, and are, crucially, restless with the status quo.
Always asking why and how can we do better.
Precisely. They challenge accepted norms, explore new approaches. This innate drive, when embedded in the culture, becomes a powerful engine for continuous improvement and innovation, far more sustainable than any top-down directive.
Now, let's pivot to a distinctly more intense culture. Maybe uncompromising is the word. Elon Musk.
Ah, yes. Ashley Vance's biography paints a vivid picture of Musk's high-performance culture. His demands for performance and relentless cost reduction are legendary.
Legendary and maybe a bit terrifying.
Well, there's that striking anecdote where an employee asked for a break feeling overwhelmed.
And Musk's response was,
I would tell those people they will get to see their families a lot when we go bankrupt.
oof, stark, urgent, no ambiguity there.
It sets an undeniable cultural expectation. Priorities are clear, the mission comes first, with an almost existential urgency.
Vance's account also describes employees needing to know the price of every part and have a plan for cost reduction, right? With hell to pay for falling behind.
Yes, it's a culture of extreme expectation and immediate accountability, not for the faint of heart.
His approach, though, often involves intimidation, doesn't it? Firing people for grammatical mistakes or not doing anything awesome.
That's the reputation. One former executive described it as, Musk destroys you, and if you survive, he determines if he can trust you.
Almost gladiatorial.
It filters through the company.
Yeah.
Everyone understands the intensity. Yet, despite this, or maybe because of it, what's truly fascinating is Musk's extraordinary ability to attract the most talented people on the planet.
And why is that? How does such a demanding environment become a magnet?
Because he offers something beyond salary and perks, inspiring things.
The mission.
Exactly. A chance to work on audacious, world-changing missions, getting humans to Mars, revolutionizing transport, connecting the globe with satellites. For some, that opportunity outweighs the intensity. The culture is the mission.
Okay, a very different approach comes from Ray Dalio's principles. Radical truth and transparency.
Yes, Dalio champions this idea. Being radically truthful and transparent about everything, mistakes, weaknesses, decision logic, fosters profound understanding and continuous improvement.
How does transparency do that?
He argues it enforces good behavior and good thinking. When everyone have to openly articulate their logic, others can rigorously assess its merits. It creates accountability through visibility.
It's like an organizational immune system against self-deception or hidden agendas. Tough to build, I imagine.
Incredibly tough, but powerful if mastered. And Dalio also introduces a foundational mantra: pain plus reflection, progress.
Pain plus reflection equals progress. Explain that.
It emphasizes that self-reflectiveness, as a core cultural habit, is crucial for rapid evolution. When you hit pain a problem, a failure, the instinct might be to deflect or blame.
Right, fight or flight.
But the discipline, Dalio West's response, is to calm down, engage your rational mind, and rigorously reflect. Think clearly about what caused the pain.
Learn the lesson.
Exactly. You learn about reality, the system, how to handle it better next time. Self-reflectiveness becomes key for individuals and organizations that evolve quickly.
So it's not just experiencing pain, but actively extracting the lesson. And what happens after a decision is made in this transparent environment, people might still disagree.
Dalio insists that once a decision is made, everyone should get behind it, even though individuals may still disagree.
Okay, agree to disagree, but commit to the path forward.
Precisely. It's about group cohesion and effectiveness. Once direction is set, collective effort supersedes individual preference. And to drive improvement, he encourages asking who should do what differently.
Not whose fault is it, but how do we fix the machine?
Exactly. Understand the machine that caused the outcome, rather than just complaining or blaming. It directs energy towards actionable changes in processes and behaviors.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, corporate culture itself can be a massive capability, right? Like the HP way.
Absolutely. The authors of Strategic Flexibility highlight how Hewlett-Packard was universally recognized for the strength and excellence of its well-defined culture, the HP way.
So culture isn't just fluffy stuff, it's a competitive advantage.
It can be a deliberate, consciously cultivated, incredibly potent competitive advantage. It shapes how an organization thinks, acts, innovates, often more reliably than any formal strategy.
But it's not always uniform across a big company, is it? The sources mention emergent cultures within divisions.
That's a nuanced point. While there can be a single overarching deliberate culture, emergent cultures within different divisions can, and often do, differ. And surprisingly, these differences should not necessarily be discouraged.
Really? Why not?
It's not a call for chaos, but a recognition that fostering localized adaptations and improvisation within divisions, as long as they align with broader values, can be a sign of a healthy, adaptive organization. It's part of being an open system built on mutual trust.
This brings us naturally to Stephen Covey's 7 Habits. That feels very foundational to culture.
Deeply foundational. It delves into personal habits and paradigms, which are the building blocks of organizational culture. Covey uses the old woman, young woman illusion.
Yeah, I remember that one. What you see depends on how you look.
Exactly. And the lighthouse analogy, the unyielding principles, they powerfully illustrate how our conditioning and paradigms affect perception and behavior. Where we stand depends on where we sit. Our mental maps dictate everything.
So culture isn't just external, it's a collective manifestation of individual internal frameworks. Covey defines a habit as the intersection of 3 things.
Yes. Knowledge, the what to do and why, skill, the how to do, and desire, the want to do. All 3 are essential for any meaningful change, personal or organizational.
You need the knowing, the how-to, and the motivation.
Without the want to, the habit won't form, the cultural shift won't stick. He also outlines the maturity continuum.
Dependence, independence, interdependence.
Right. Moving from you take care of me, dependence, to I can do it myself, independence, to the highest level. We can do it, interdependence. combining efforts for greater synergistic success.
That speaks directly to a collaborative culture.
Absolutely. Interdependence recognizes the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
And foundational to getting there is proactivity, right? Working in your circle of influence.
Yes, focusing on what you can control, making commitments to yourself. Covey's statement, if you start to think the problem is out there, stop yourself. That thought is the problem, is so powerful.
Take responsibility. Don't blame circumstances.
It's about an internal locus of control. And conversely, Covey cautions against building your life or your organization around flawed centers.
Like being only money-centered or family-centered.
Yes. While important, when they become the primary lens, they can ironically destroy success or well-being, leading to imbalances. He advocates for a principle-centered approach instead.
Based on universal truths.
Right. A more stable, resilient foundation for personal and organizational culture, fostering trust, fairness, and long-term sustainability.
Finally, Peter Drucker, again, in The Essential Drucker, offers a stark reminder.
What's that?
He argues that a new venture, no matter how brilliant its idea or product, will not survive unless it develops into a new business and makes sure of being managed.
So beyond the idea, beyond the strategy, you need basic management.
It implies the need for internal organization, clear roles, expected results, deeply cultural and operational elements. It's not just about the spark, it's about building the engine to keep it going.
Okay, wow, here's where it gets really interesting and maybe a little messy.
The interplay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
After hearing both sides, it's abundantly clear neither strategy nor culture operates in a pristine, isolated vacuum. They are constantly influencing each other.
Like two dancers in an elaborate, sometimes tumultuous tango.
Good analogy.
Yeah.
So what does this dynamic interplay mean for you listening as you navigate your own professional landscape? If we connect this to the bigger picture, host, our sources powerfully highlight that the most successful, resilient organizations don't see this as an either choice.
Not a boat hand.
Precisely. It's a profound dynamic interplay. A brilliant strategy, all that analytical rigor, can be utterly rendered useless, even sabotaged by a toxic, unaligned culture.
Like pouring water into a leaky bucket.
Exactly. Conversely, a healthy, vibrant culture full of engaged, accountable people needs a clear direction, a compelling strategy to channel its energy effectively.
A fantastic recipe needs a skilled kitchen crew, and a great crew needs a recipe and ingredients.
Perfect. You need both working together.
We've certainly seen historical examples where even meticulous strategies were undermined by culture.
The Edsel.
Oh, the Etzel. Brooks's Business Adventures covers it well. Despite wild optimism and deep belief among Ford execs that it would succeed a strategy based on tons of market research.
It was a legendary flop. Spectacular. Public failure. And it wasn't just strategic oversight. It could be seen as market misreading combined with a culture that perhaps fostered denial, suppressed critical feedback.
Or just couldn't face uncomfortable truths.
The internal optimism seems to have blinded them to the reality of consumer preference and market shifts.
Yeah.
The culture couldn't course-correct the flawed strategy.
And then, on a far more devastating scale, Enron.
Enron. Lewis is the smartest guys in the room, is chilling. Enron pursued an incredibly aggressive, clear strategy. Trading and deal-making, innovative capital raising, all to hit quarterly earnings targets.
Skilling's ultimate scorecard, the stock price.
Exactly. But this strategy was facilitated and ultimately corrupted by a deeply toxic culture of deceit. Lewis states, nothing at Enron required more effort, more deceit, than hitting its quarterly earnings targets.
So the strategy demanded things the culture enabled through, well, fraud?
Essentially, yes. Executives used opaque financial maneuvers, like special purpose entities, SPEs, to hide massive debt and inflate profit.
Those infamous SPEs.
They accounted for a staggering 56% of reported operating cash flow. Investors grew suspicious, questioning if entities like LJM, run by the CFO, were ripping off Enron itself, and if Skilling knew.
And the cultural flaw.
A profound lack of accountability. Top brass had no personal exposure if their empire collapsed. This allowed the dangerous strategy to spiral, leading to catastrophe. Strategy helpless against a corrosive culture.
Conversely, culture can be a powerful enabler of strategy, sometimes with a darker side too. Salomon Brothers.
Right, liar's poker. Lewis describes Louis Ranieri's mortgage department and its ready, fire, aim culture.
Ready, fire, aim. Sounds chaotic.
It was aggressive. Ranieri built an immensely profitable team by hiring unconventional traders, Italian, self-educated, loud and fat, many from the back office. They were seen as hungrier, more loyal.
An us against the world kind of vibe.
Very much so. This informal, aggressive renegade culture directly facilitated a groundbreaking strategy, transforming loans into mortgage-backed bonds, basically inventing the market. They did it despite the executive committee's reluctance.
Wow. Culture drove strategic innovation against internal resistance.
But, and this is crucial, this strong culture wasn't necessarily healthy. The broader Salaman culture was rife with internal conflicts, brutal behavior,
The thrown phone incident.
right, and a lack of accountability. It shows a culture highly effective for specific ruthless strategic goals short-term can also be deeply dysfunctional long-term. Strategy overrode ethics due to culture.
Then we have Jeff Bezos again, representing a more integrated approach.
Yes, Stone's book shows Bezos explicitly used a regret minimization framework as a strategic tool.
Asking what he'd regret at 80.
That personal strategic philosophy then permeated Amazon's culture. His demanding culture moving faster, working harder, no BS in meetings directly supported his strategy of aggressive growth, pursuing big inventions and small ones.
Complete alignment there.
And a fantastic concrete example is Prime membership.
Which lost money initially, right? A strategic gamble.
Huge gamble. But its success wasn't just the idea. It was rooted in Amazon's culture of continuous improvement and efficiency. Jeff Wilkes' operations team culturally got better at combining multiple items into a single box, driving down costs.
So the operational culture made the strategic innovation viable.
Exactly. Cultural efficiency supported strategic innovation. It's that rope of many small advantages woven together by a disciplined, innovative culture.
And stepping back, Christensen, in how will you measure your life offers another insight. Strategy isn't just a big event.
Right. He says strategy is not a discrete analytical event, but a continuous, diverse, and unruly process unfolding daily.
Through small decisions.
Thousands of them. Deliberate strategy and the new emerging opportunities fight for resources, he explains. And it's an organization's culture, its ingrained values, priorities, habits, that determines how it allocates resources to these competing demands.
So culture basically decides which strategies live or die in practice.
In many ways, yes. Culture defines the environment where strategy is continuously remade, adapted, or abandoned.
So, given all this complexity, how do you, listening, navigate this? Do you meticulously define your market, identify your power, chart the course, then build the team?
Or do you prioritize cultivating an incredibly strong team with clear values, open communication, high accountability, trusting them to find the best way forward and adapt? What's your starting point?
It really encourages critical thinking, doesn't it? Questioning assumptions.
Considering a multifaceted perspective,
Hmm?
the key, as our sources collectively suggest, seems less about a rigid which comes first and more about fostering a symbiotic relationship.
They need each other.
A powerful strategy provides direction, the what and where. But it's an aligned, engaged, adaptive culture that brings it to life, infuses it with resilience, allows it to evolve, and translates plans into sustained success,
It's not which comes first, but how effectively they work together.
constantly reinforcing each other.
We've taken a deep dive today into one of the most fundamental questions in business. Which comes first, strategy or culture?
A big one.
We've explored powerful arguments for both. Helmer's powers, Porter's frameworks, highlighting the need for a clear plan.
And on the other side, Drucker's insistence that culture reigns supreme, Lencioni's insights into team dynamics.
So for you, listening today, what stands out most from this exploration?
Ultimately, I think the sources suggest that while a brilliant strategy can carve a compelling path, a robust, adaptive culture determines whether you can walk that path consistently, adapt to obstacles, and truly thrive long-term.
Ignoring either seems risky.
Ignoring either is a recipe for potential failure, no matter how talented your people or innovative your product. It's about coherence, deep alignment, and understand the profound human element in every decision.
From the grand vision to the daily interactions.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Whether you're starting a new project, leading a team, or just trying to understand the business world, remembering these two forces are inextricably linked is vital.
A strategy needs a home.
And a culture needs a direction. It's emphatically not a zero-sum game.
And for a final provocative thought, something for you to mull over.
Leave us with something to chew on.
If culture eats strategy for breakfast, perhaps the ultimate strategic advantage isn't a single brilliant fixed plan, but rather the ongoing deliberate cultivation of a culture that is hungry enough to continually innovate, agile enough to adapt, and even courageous enough to critique and fundamentally transform its own strategies.
Wow. A culture that creates and refines strategy continuously.
What does that mean for how you approach your next big challenge, your next ambitious endeavor?